Hey, it's Chris, and right here, I've got the brand new Midnight Blue M2 MacBook Air, which is an extremely well-built, convenient, stylish laptop with a drastically improved screen versus the last model, battery life that's gonna last you all day with the type of computing this thing's designed to handle, not to mention brand new MagSafe charging options, along with a color-matched braided cord. So here's the thing, the Air has never been about optimizing for powerhouse performance, despite what some YouTube channels have put it through. It is, though, about trying to optimize for profound portability and everyday productivity. Powerhouse performance is obviously the domain of the MacBook Pro, so it's really ridiculous when you see YouTube channels out there putting this thing through paces that it was never meant to go through, pro audio, video, coding, for instance, and then complaining about overheating issues or other nonsense. Profound portability, on the other hand, is all about having a very capable machine that's easy and enjoyable to take with you and lets you get some serious knowledge work done. I will tell you though, as portable as this thing is, we'll get more into that, the second I took it out of the box, I thought, whoa, this is heavier than I expected, because the marketing made it seem like this thing was practically a feather. But actually, I think in this case, the most interesting comparison for most people is gonna end up being the Air versus the iPad Pro, because both of these devices are meant to deliver profound portability, but just in different ways. And this is a comparison I am gonna be making shortly, so make sure that you get yourself subscribed. Now I'm gonna say something right now that's gonna make a lot of people think, what did he just say? And that is that for me, the M2 here is almost irrelevant. The M1 Air is still a great machine and it's still on sale actually, so if you wanna spend under $1,000, you can go that direction. But the M2 in this machine, for me, is really more about having a long-lasting machine. Something that can go the distance over several years and not feel slow. Because personally, in my testing, I'm not using this for anything particularly processor intensive, and I don't think the average buyer of this thing is either. So right now what I wanna do is something a little bit different than what you're probably seeing all over the rest of YouTube, and that is telling you how I've actually been using it and testing it, rather than spitting out a bunch of facts and stuff you already know about it, or you can just read off the website. Now you have to understand, as a tech reviewer, I've got a lot of different tech sitting around for testing purposes. Some of it's my own, some of it's been sent to me. So I have a lot of options when it's time to sit down and do some work. Sometimes I have to work on a machine to test it, and sometimes when I am testing a machine, I use it to test it, and then I switch to something else that I prefer more. In this case, I've been reaching for the Air more than I have to, because it's just so great to use. So what kind of work have I been getting up to lately? Well, I'm knee-deep in creating a new course, which is gonna focus on productivity within the Apple ecosystem. Should come out in the next 2 to 3 months. And I've been using this to get some of the groundwork done. So I've been doing a lot of research, both within Brave and Safari. I've been making use of quick notes, which a lot of people don't realize are not just limited to the iPad. You can use it on your iPhone or your Mac as well. And then I've been organizing all that research within MindNode. And then I've been fleshing out those outlines using Jasper, my favorite artificial intelligence writing assistant, which I'll be happy to link up for you down in the description if you're new around here. And then I've been turning those notes into actual scripts that I can take and go film and create a course. So for web browsing, for note taking, for writing, basic tasks that anybody would use in school or at work, this thing has been incredible to use. Not because it's a performance powerhouse, but because it's profoundly portable. It's super easy to just grab and go and take it to a chair or a couch, or put it in a backpack, head to the coffee shop, or even better, bring with you across the country the next time you hop on a plane. Like when I was traveling a couple weeks ago, my backpack was loaded down with camera gear, and the last thing I wanted was a really heavy laptop in there as well. And I have the 14-inch MacBook Pro, which is smaller than the 16-inch, but it's still heavy, you know? Any shaving of weight is much appreciated anytime you're going anywhere, much less when you're traveling. Now, I get a lot of my info from YouTube when I'm doing some research, and of course, sometimes I'm just relaxing and wanting to watch something, and the speaker quality really matters. And here the speakers are better than the last generation of the Air, but they're not quite as good as the new MacBook Pros. That's to be expected. However, nothing to complain about. Here's a sample. Not the bassiest sound I've ever heard, Not that I was expecting a big bassy sound, because this thing is really thin. And let's be honest, I'm gonna throw some headphones on if I'm really gonna do any serious listening to anything anyways. All right, so this is just a quick demo of what the camera is capable of doing in a fairly dark room. So my professional camera captures this room with pretty low light, and it's a little bit more cinematically lit in here, but it's not good for webcams. So this is an upgraded 1080p webcam, but that doesn't mean that it's not gonna be a little bit grainy. Still not amazing quality. That's why Apple came out with a phone hack that lets you use your iPhone as a webcam. Basically though, I would call this thing a near perfect productivity machine. I see you looking at the wallpaper, and I know you're thinking, that's a near perfect wallpaper, where'd you get it? It's part of a Daily Tech wallpaper pack, which I'll link up down in the description, so you can check that out on your own machine. But if I didn't make videos for a living, I gotta tell you, I'd be all over this thing. If I didn't need that extra power and I didn't need the extra ports, then wow, this would be such a dream machine. I mean, when it comes to the ports here, you really only have functionally these 2 ports, and that is almost a bit of a drawback even for just a straight up productivity machine. So you're gonna have to make an assessment for yourself. For me, at my desk, I'm plugging in an external monitor, I'm plugging in some external storage, that's 2 ports right there, and then I also plug in an audio interface or a microphone. So that's 3, and that obviously puts me over the limit for this. But again, judge for yourself, because if I didn't make videos, I wouldn't need that extra port really. You know, the other thing I'll say about the ports is that I kind of wish they were on both sides. It's a little bit annoying that they're both on the left. I'm not gonna complain about it though, just like I'm not gonna complain about the notch here. I mean, some people would put out a whole video just complaining about the notch, right? I don't even notice it, doesn't get in the way. You know, I use Bartender so I can really maximize my Mac menu bar up here. It would look slightly more aesthetic if that wasn't there, but whatever. Now, does the midnight blue here show fingerprints that you're not gonna find if you get a different color? Well, yeah, obviously. That said, I work on this thing more than I look at this thing. And even when I do look at this thing, I like what I see. I like this color better than other colors. It's just not boring. So yeah, I mean, if you're like super OCD, this probably isn't the thing for you. Definitely not. But on the other hand, if you want something that's different than what everybody else with an Apple computer has, this is amazing. I love this color. So yeah, my overall assessment is that I love it, and it does seem like a good heir apparent to the last Air. I don't particularly care that the wedge shape is gone. It doesn't matter whether it has a wedge or if it's perfectly flush all the way around with this more rectangular design. I think it looks good as it is. And I basically have very little to complain about here. Some people are like, well, it's just too expensive. It starts at like 200 more than the last model. Okay, but I mean, you could get something cheaper if you really wanted to, but do you want that or do you want this? If you just want cheap, you could get the base level iPad with a keyboard, right? But there's a certain experience to be had with this, a certain look, right? And it's worth paying that extra $200 for most of the people who are already looking in this segment. Okay, I tried to do something a little bit different here and not just spit out a bunch of facts and specs and benchmarks and stuff like that you're probably seeing all over the rest of YouTube. So let me know what you thought of this kind of style of review. If you have any other questions, let me know down in the comments. Be sure to get subscribed to our newsletter. I'm gonna plug it here because it's a benefit to you. Why? It's because it puts discovery of awesome apps and accessories on autopilot. Awesome apps, accessories, autopilot. Look at all those A's, alliteration going on here, just off the top of the brain. But really, it brings all of those cool things right into your inbox every Friday, doesn't waste your time, and the click-through rates are insane. And also the open rates. 75% open rates, that's like an industry unheard of number, right? People are really enjoying it. So I'll link it up down below. Wallpapers are down below. Thanks for hanging out, and subscribe to the podcast as well. Later.